I apologise in advance for the length and ramblification of this video. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm off to bed. Hello gang. Hello friends. Hello gang friends. Gang friends. Gang friends merch available at missjoesnailco.com. www is not really an abbreviation, is it? It's 9 syllables long. World Wide Web is just 3. Whoa is just 3 as well. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this video finds you well. Are you well? I hope you're well. If you're new, hello. Hello. My name is Jo and I do nail stuff. She does stuff and nail stuff, and the stuff she does with nails is done with nail stuff and stuff for nails. I've been thinking recently about when I first decided to train and get my qualifications, and about all the things in the nail world that confused me, because it seems that any one item has 50 billion variants and we're all supposed to know what they are and what they're used for. So I asked you guys which things confused you when you started, or which are still a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. That's Churchill, that wasn't me. So let's try and address as many of these as possible, and I think the best way to do that will be to do it in order of how they're going to be used, because if we talk about something that's used down here on the list, we're probably going to mention things from further up on the list of order of how you'll do stuff. So we'll go in order of how you'll use them, and I have about 15,000 bullet points on a screen in front of me just to keep me on track. Keep me on the right path. I don't want to start talking about spider gel and end up on a 20-minute diverted tangent about shoelaces or lemon meringue pie. Things like that have been known to happen on this channel. So if I'm looking down here, that's why. I'm trying to keep on track. So I'm about to come at you with a bunch of information, hopefully helpful information. And if you want to save this video for future reference, there's a little plus, I think that's the save button, it's there somewhere. Or if you think it will be helpful to a friend or a newbie nail tech, then you can share it as well. There's a button for that too. There's a button for everything. So click whichever ones you want. All of them, none of them, it's up to you. If you are new to nails and you're after a gel polish brand recommendation, I've just switched to Madame Glam recently and I absolutely love them. And I also have a whopping 30% discount code that you can use at Madame Glam. It's MissJo30, and there's an affiliate link in the description of this video to get you to Miss Jo's Madame Glam. I don't own it. Right, let's get to it, shall we? One of the first things you will learn I've got my wand, just I sense I'm going to get a bit pokey. One of the first things you'll learn in your nail course is all about the anatomy of a nail. And these are things you need to know. You know when you take a driving test and you have to take your theory test, it's like it's the theory. It's not like it, the theory. There's going to be a lot of words that you've never heard of before. They're not easy to say, they're not easy to spell, and they're not easy to remember. But this is something that any course should cover, and there are billions of pictures of fingertips and nails and the anatomy on the internet. So I won't ramble on too much about it, but we'll touch on just a few of the basics because they'll come up as we talk about other things further down in the video. Let's start with the nail. That's it, nail. Video over. The actual nail is called the nail plate, and the nail plate sits on the nail bed. I wouldn't recommend putting plates in beds, but it seems to work all right here. So the nail bed is the flesh under the nail plate, under the fingernail. And any part of the nail that is beyond the nail bed is called the free edge. It's got out of bed, it's got up, it's free. Freedom! So anything not attached to the nail bed, which is under the nail, is called the free edge. And where the nail plate meets the rest of your body, you have the eponychium. It's living tissue, and it's like the watertight seal between the external, the nail plate, and the internal. You also have a hyponychium, So an eponychium and a hyponychium. And a hyponychium sort of does the same thing, but on the underside of the nail. So this fleshy pad of your fingertip, as that goes like this, and then you've got the nail coming up, this bit here where it kind of joins, that's your hyponychium. One of you said that you struggled to remember which was which when you first started, so I've come up with a way to remember it. The hyponychium is what you see when you say hi. On the underside, hi, ponychium. Eponychium, hi, ponychium. And you might come across someone who has what's called an extended hyponychium, which is where the see what I mean? They're difficult to say. The hyponychium, when someone has an extended hyponychium, is as the nail grows. Let's say this is your nail bed. As your nail grows, and you've got the hyponychium is sort of here where they meet, it kind of grows out with it. I would imagine there's a limit to how far it would grow out with it. If someone grew 10-inch nails, I imagine it wouldn't go all the way to the end. But if they have short nails especially, it kind of grows up and really grows up towards the free edge. So you have to be careful not to file it and not to get product on it, because product doesn't stick, doesn't adhere to skin, so it will peel off. And then if it's attached to the rest of, say, the gel polish that's on a nail, if it peels off the hyponychium, it's going to then peel off to everything that's it's attached to. The eponychium on the top side, hi, there we go, is often confused with cuticle. But cuticle is dead tissue that is attached to the nail plate, so that the nail itself. And this is the stuff that you want to banish during prep. It's dead, it's expired, it's out of date, check it out. Product won't adhere to cuticle, and it won't give you a smooth application of product if you've got just lumpy bits of cuticle shit on the nail. So you always want to get rid of all the cuticle on the nail plate. So once you've prepped a nail, removed the cuticle, pushed back the eponychium, filed to shape, buffed the shine off the surface. I have got a video for prep. I'll put a link to it in the description. Once you've done that, you want to prime. Not to prime is wait, that's not me. There are 3 types of product you can use here. There's primer, acid primer, and bonder. And they all prepare the nail plate for product application. It dehydrates the nail, it changes the pH level and rids it of any natural oils. Everyone's got natural oils all over the place, and these products act as a double-sided sticky tape. So one side is sticking to your nail plate and the other side is ready to stick to the product that you're going to apply on top. The difference between an acid primer and a non-acid primer, or an acid-free primer, is that an acid primer will chemically sort of etch the nail. It will make microscopic holes in the nail, acting as an etched surface for product to stick to. This is good if you have clients that have particularly oily nail beds or they have problems with lifting, whereas acid-free primers are more about making it sticky to adhere to the next step. Bonders work in a very similar way. When you're starting out, you might not be 100% confident with your application yet, so using a primer and a bonder will help prevent any lifting or peeling. It's also good if you have someone who's maybe a medical professional or they've just had a baby and they're going to be washing their hands a lot. A primer and or a bonder is definitely going to help minimize lifting. With all of these products, you want to apply it sparingly. You'll see when you touch it on the nail that it sort of spreads out. So you don't want to put too much on because you don't want it to flood your side walls, and you don't want to oversaturate the nail plate or get it on the client's skin. So now we have prepped, we've primed and or bonded. Before we get to gel polish, we might be doing extensions, and there are naturally a number of ways to do that. You can do it with tips, forms, dual forms, full cover nails, or you could even just be doing a set of press-ons. So let's have a look at them and see what they're all about. So these are nail tips, and they come, all nail tips tend to come in sizes 0 to 10. 0 is the biggest size and 10 is the smallest. Why do they do it that way? I don't know, just to annoy us. So these tips that I use are well-less, which means they don't have a well, which is normally a little ridge at this tip portion that you would put the glue in and then put on the nail. So you need to blend it so it's smooth and just blends into the nail, so it doesn't just sort of pop off. It's not just stuck on like that. But these ones are well less. Why anyone would choose weld tips when you can get wellless, I'm not really sure, because these are so much easier. And with these wellless ones, you just need to buff so that, and same with weld tips, you need to buff this portion so that it's ready for product application, because otherwise it's a bit shiny and the product doesn't have much to grip to. And you always want to make sure that you're using the right size tip. You wouldn't want to use one that's a bit small. Let's find a smaller one. A 3. You don't want to have to press for it to do that, because you're pushing this out. It's going to want to spring back into shape. And also the tip, the free edge, is going to be too small for that nail. See how silly that would look? You want it to naturally sit. So this is the perfect size for my thumb. It sits flush with the line of my nail. Excuse my tatty thumb, by the way. And on this side, like this. You can also get full cover tips. This brand is called X10s. It's a bit like, well, it's very much like the brand Aprés, which these are made from a gel, and you apply them, so this will be staying on the nail, the finished product, and you can thin out this bit here so that as the nail grows out, they don't have this ridge. And you apply them with a gel once you've prepped and done everything you need with your nail and you've sized up. Again, make sure you get the right size. You don't want to have to push too hard for it to fit. You would take the product you're using to apply it with. Normally you put a base coat down and cure that, and then you would take this. So I'll show you, this isn't going to be a perfect example, but I'll show you roughly how it goes. That's probably too much gel. That will do. And then I like to start about here and then push back, and can you see how the gel is spreading down? I think I might put too much on. And then you want to make sure that there's no air bubbles, and you do that, and then you want to get a light on it. But once you've done that and you've cured them all, that nail is staying on. That is the extension. So it will be like that, and you can shape it however you like, and then you can go over with gel polish. If they're not buffed, these come a bit sort of pre-buffed, which you can just go straight over with gel polish. But if they are really shiny and smooth, give them a buff, and then you can just go straight in with a gel polish application. It's very quick, it's very easy. Getting this bit right to not get air bubbles will take a little bit of practice, but it's definitely, in my opinion, the quickest and easiest way to do extensions. You are going to want to start curing that before you let go of holding the tip. If I'm doing them on myself, I have a little handheld LED torch, and I have it in my mouth, and I have it on the whole time, but I have it kind of use my teeth to point it this way, and then when I'm ready, I'll point it and hold it over my nail just until it's started curing enough to let go of the tip, and then give it a full cure. When I'm with a client, you can get, because you're using both hands, so you don't have any free hands, you can get a foot pedal controlled light that hangs over like this, so you can hold their hand and the nail and use your foot to start curing it. But they're about £50, and there's a client sat opposite you doing absolutely nothing. So I like to put them to work, and I give them the little torch and tell them to hold it until it's ready for me to let go, and then go in the lamp. You know, when a client says, "Oh, we did a really great set last year, can we have that again?" And you think, did we do a great set? So if they're going to say we, then you should put them to work. Give them something to do, sat there doing nothing, lazy bones. So those full cover tips that you use a product to apply look a lot more built up than a press-on, because those full cover tips, they come with a shape and they come sort of deep enough to put a product inside and then adhere to the nail. But press-ons tend to be much flatter because they're just going on with nail glue or nail tabs, which are these things, and you size up. It doesn't have to be the size of the whole nail, you kind of just want it in the middle because you want to have this flush. This isn't the right size for me, but you want that to be as close to the cuticle as possible and on the sides. So these tabs look like this. I don't know if you can see them, and you would find one that is the right size for you. So this one would be the right size for my thumb, and they're actually thicker than I thought they would be. So you would place that about there, because if you place it further back where it is quite thick and sort of jelly-ish, you'd have a ridge where they start, and then you peel this off So this is a double-sided sticky tab like that. Can you see? And then you would press the nail. So because we haven't put it as close to the cuticle, then we can have this bit of the nail sat flush with the cuticle instead of it being on top of this sort of thick sticky tab, and they can be reused as much as you like. The good thing about press-ons though is that you can paint them before applying them, whereas with those gel nails it would be nice to be able to paint a design without the nails being on a person. It's much easier to do designs when there's no human attached, but then if you use a gel or a polygel to put the product onto the nail, the light's not going to penetrate through the layers of gel polish, so it's not going to cure it properly. So you do have to wait until they're on before you start painting them. So another way to extend the nail is with something called a jewel form. I think sometimes they're called poppets or something, because these are those things that pop off the nail, and probably you've seen them in TikTok videos or YouTube shorts where someone will put product in a nail shaped plastic thing and then they'll put some stuff inside it and they'll press it on the nail. They use this big clip and then swipe away products that's kind of oozed out the sides, cure it, and then they pop it off, file it and top coat it. It's not quite that easy, and when I tried them with Polygel I failed miserably. I'll put a link to the video, but it was the first time I was using Polygel as well, but they're not as easy as you see. I don't think anything's as easy as you see in a 1-minute video. Steps have been removed, sequences have been shortened to make it look super easy, but it is another way to extend the nail. So let's have a look at jewel forms, poppets, pop jewel forms. So these are jewel forms. These ones I don't quite understand because the shape of them is horrendous. It's this shape. Why anyone would want nails like that shape, I'm not sure. You apply the product, so you still have to prep and do your nails as you would with any other service. And you apply product, either Builder Gel, Polygel or Acrylic, in here, and then you put it on the nail, similar to with the Aprés type nails. So you hold that on there once you've put the product in, and then you cure it, and once it's cured you pop these off. We'll have a really smooth top surface because this is smooth on the inside. You can use them just to create the platform. You could put just a thin amount of product and do that just to create the platform and then build on with more product. But either way, once you've done that and you've popped this off, if you then add more product, or if you've put all the product in there, you then want to file and refine your shape, and then you can go in with gel polish. So you can reuse these. I think you'd want to give them a good clean first. So everything we've looked at so far, the tips, the full cover nails, the press-ons and the jewel forms, they all come in different shapes, different nail shapes and different lengths. As do nail forms, which is what we'll look at now. But nail forms all serve the same purpose. Some of them will look like butterflies, some of them will look really boring, but they all serve the same purpose, and that is to extend the natural nail. So let's have a look at forms. So these are nail forms, and as I say, they do come in different shapes and patterns. So here's some more that look like ladybirds. So they come on this backing and you peel them off. So these ones are with guides for a stiletto shaped nail, but obviously you could just stop the product in a straight line if you wanted a coffin shaped nail, or you can create whichever shape you want, but these ones are specifically for stilettos. So with forms, I like to break this first. I don't know if everyone else does, but I like to. And I also like to pinch the end together. So you're going to pinch these bits together, and then you're going to slide this under the free edge of the nail. Now sometimes a person's nail won't fit properly under there, so you might need to make little cuts or adjust the shape. You can just cut into these and adjust the shape so that it does fit perfectly under there. And then you want to join these up. I'm really rubbish at putting forms on myself and people really, but just so you have a rough idea. And then I like to pinch this so it's nice and narrow, so you get a nice slim nail. I've pinched that too much, and then you would build the product straight onto here, obviously going onto the nail as well, and that will create, once it's cured or set if it's acrylic, that will create the platform for you to then build on. Some people like to build with the form still on, but I tend to get the shape of the platform I want, of the extension. Then I like to take the form off, and when you do that, you always want to pull down so you don't put any stress on the product, and then build from there. So it kind of just creates a tip for us. And when you're using forms, it's called sculpting. So if someone asks for a set of sculpted nails, they're going to want you to use forms because you are creating this shape, you're sculpting it yourself, you're not using a plastic tip. You can also create some really cool shape extensions. I'll put some pictures on screen where you bring it down the sides and you create a butterfly or whatever you want. So you can get really creative with these because you are building it yourself and you have complete control over what it's going to look like and what shape it's going to be. You can also get silk nails or fibre nails, or are they called fibreglass nails, I think, but they're not very common. Well, they're not very common over here, so I don't have any experience with them, but they are other ways to extend a nail and create a platform for product. Or you can just use silk to give extra strength to the natural nail. And Google tells me that silk nails are a synthetic reinforcement made with silk that wraps over the nail, and then you use a resin over the silk wrap which hardens it, and that becomes the platform, the extension platform, or the strength on a natural nail. And then there's fiberglass, which is, you know, those looks like lots of strings of, insert picture please Joseph, that's fiberglass. So you attach them to the tip of the nail, maybe with some gel or something, and then you cure it, and then you cut the strings of fiberglass, maybe it's probably synthetic something, and then you use a gel or a product on top which binds these strings, that's what I'm going with, together. I think it's mostly done with gel, but I have seen a video of someone doing it with acrylic, although I wonder whether it's fibre gel that is used for fibre gel nails. Probably that would make sense, and we will get to fibre gel when we start talking about all the different types of gel and all the other different types of gel, and then the other types of gel, and then I think there's some types of gel as well, which we will get to. I've used tips and forms and the Aprés style full cover nails on clients. I think Aprés is the quickest, and once you get the hang of getting the gel on there and not getting any air bubbles, it's the easiest. And I think forms are my least favourite, just because I'm a bit cat-handed at putting them on people. But you do get a nice C curve, which takes us to the C curve and the apex. Different things, but thankfully just one meaning for both of them. The C curve is the curve of the nail when looking at it from this angle. So someone with wide, flat nails doesn't have a very big C curve. I have a client who's got really narrow nails and a really tight C curve, almost a full, you got to have a full C shape of the free edge almost, and it almost curls under a bit as well. So when you create an extension, you want to create a nice C curve, which is when you'll see people using a pinching tool, and that's going to pinch the nail, the product, to give it a nice C curve. With gel, when you are curing an extension, or if you're using a form, it's mostly used for forms because tips have their own C curve. You can pinch them a bit, but with forms, you'll use the pinching tool, and if it's with gel, you're obviously going to want to give it a little bit of a cure because you can't pinch something when it's sticky, wet, uncured gel. So maybe give it a half cure and then pinch it so that it creates this narrow C curve, and you can get clips that go on there to hold that in place as it cures, so it cures with a C curve. If you take your nail and you pinch the free edge, or just where the free edge begins, you'll see that the tip of your nail is changing, you're pinching it and getting that C. That is the C curve, is where it looks like a C. It kind of looks like an upside down U because a C would be sideways, but let's not get pedantic. So another term that you hear a lot in nails, especially when you're building with product on the nail for an extension, is apex. The apex is the highest point of the natural nail or of the product that you have applied, and the symmetry and position of the apex affects the strength of the extension you're building. If you were to build a nail and just did flat layers of gel on a long nail, that's snapping off. The apex is all about structure. that will support the length of an extension. People place the apex at different points of the nail. Let's say this is your nail. Some people have their high point in the middle, so this is a side view. So the nail will go like that in a kind of C shape, not to be confused with the C curve, which is this way. So they'll do it like this, whereas some people will place it further back. I like it further back, a bit closer to the back third of the nail, and then coming straight and obviously tapering down to the free edge. But it is always in a way that will give structure and support to an extension. So your nail might be this long. I wouldn't recommend wearing nails that long. Could be dangerous. But if your nail's this long, you want the apex, and an apex back here is going to support the pressure. Am I making sense? The apex is the high point of the product, and it's all about the structure of it to support the length of the extension. I think each thing that I'm talking about warrants its own video entirely, so I will do separate videos just to really focus on some things, but this was more just about the terms and what they mean, not necessarily how to do it, but just all these words that you might be faced with that are just alien. So it's not just about having a nice looking nail, it has to be structurally sound as well. So I think that's most of the things covered that I might mention when talking about the products. So let's get to all the different types of products. I'll start with acrylic. I'm just going to touch on acrylic about what it is, because I'm not trained in it and I've never used it. So I don't want to harp on about something I don't really know. And then we'll get to all the different types of gels, because there are so bloody many. So like I say, I'm not trained in acrylic, so I'm going to read what I wrote about it from my research. And this isn't necessarily about how to apply it, but just like, what is it? What are you, acrylic? Acrylic is a liquid and powder system. The liquid is called a monomer, and a monomer is a bunch of molecules that react with other molecules to create bigger molecules, or polymers. And this is the polymerization process, which is something that happens with gel as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the essential feature of a monomer is the capacity to form chemical bonds with other monomers. And this is what happens when you dip your brush into the liquid monomer and then into the powder, which was initially a bunch of monomers as well that have connected with other monomer molecules and created the powder. So when you dip your brush into the liquid and the powder, it creates the product that you apply to the nail, and as their polymerization relations start, it starts to set and harden. There are a bunch of articles about the science behind it all online, so if acrylic is the way you want to go, then they're definitely worth a read, and they'll explain it better than I can, because I know nothing, Jon Snow. A big thing I noticed when I started doing nails was the debate between whether acrylic or gel is better for your nails, and the answer is that neither is better or worse. If it's professional, safe products that are used and they're applied by a trained professional, then there's no reason one or other is better or safer. There is one thing you need to look out for though when doing nails, and that's that some products can have something in called methyl methacrylate instead of ethyl methacrylate. Methyl methacrylate, MMA, is actually banned in a whole bunch of countries, but it is often used at non-standard salons. These are salons that don't follow standard practices or procedures. People wrongly assume that all Vietnamese nail salons are non-standard salons, and this is not the case, and it should never be assumed to be the case. It can be any salon that is not following standard practice and is choosing money over their clients' health or welfare, and they're using cheap products that aren't designed for the nail industry, like MMA, which is an industrial strength acrylic. It's used for a number of things like dental cement, it's used in car manufacturing, it's used as bone cement for like hip replacements and things, and it just contains a bunch of nasty stuff that's made to last a lifetime, and you don't want that shit on your nails. It sounds silly, but if you catch your nail on something or in something, you want the nail to break, because if you've got MMA on your nails, which is rock hard, it's not going to break. And the next thing that will break, because it's being, if you're catching it on something, is the tip of your finger. There is a girl I saw online a while ago, and that exact thing had happened to her. She had MMA on her finger and she caught her nail, and instead of the nail breaking and ripping off, it just acted as leverage to break off the next weak point in your finger, which was the tip of her finger. And she's got a picture of her holding the tip of her finger with the nail still attached in a tissue in hospital. Dude, MMA is also a bitch to get off. It's horrible stuff for nails. Don't do it. In summation, acrylic and gel are both perfectly safe for the nails if the products are safe and they're applied and removed by a trained professional. Stop it. Next up, before we know about which gel does what, you're going to need a lamp. Lots of brands have their own brand lamps, but you are going to want one that's at least 36 watts. Personally, and this is just me, and if you don't agree, that's all right, I don't buy into the whole our gel only works with our lamp. You'll notice that a lot of brands' lamps are exactly the same. They've just got the brand logo stuck on there, which is one of the reasons I don't really buy into that it will only work with that lamp. It is worth having the lamp of the brand you are committing to if you are, but if you say to them, I've got this lamp and I'm not going to buy yours, will your products work with this because I want to buy your products? And they'll tell you yes or no. And it's unlikely they'll say no if it is a yes, because they want your business. I get that they would have tested their products with that lamp for optimal results, but I just don't think you need a different lamp for every brand product that you might have. That's just bananas. I know there'll be people who disagree with me on that, but you know, not everybody can agree with each other in the world. So there are two different types of lamps. You can get UV or LED, and both of them emit wavelengths and work in the same way. They serve the same purpose to cure your product. And the main difference between UV and LED are the photo initiators. Now I have to look at my screen because I can't remember what they are. Okay, photo initiators are molecules that create free radicals when exposed to radiation. What do we need to take from that? The product reacts to light and cures. Some brands will require UV. Some brands will that's a lot of effort for my tongue. Some brands will require UV. Some will require LED. You can buy combi lamps, which is what I have, and that will save you from needing one of each. I have 2 combi lamps. I don't like to work with a lamp in the middle and holding the client's hand over that, so I have one either side. And you just want to check the brand that you're buying, whether that needs a UV or an LED, and then go that further step and ask them if their brand will work with the lamp you have, or whether you really do need that brand's lamp. Products that cure under UV light tend to need a longer cure than products that cure under an LED light. So gels under a UV normally take 2 minutes to cure, or have a recommended 2-minute cure time, and gels that cure under an LED is normally 1 minute, or some gel polishes are 30 seconds. Speaking of gel polish, let's get to all these gels. There's so many gels. It is confusing. This was what confused me, and I think in the comments what you guys said confused you the most was the difference between all the gels, and it was the same for me. There's so many. They all have different uses. They all behave differently. So let's have a look at each of them and see what they're all about. Gel. Let's start with the difference between hard gel and soft gel. Soft gel, hard gel, hard gel, soft gel. It's easy. Soft gels are soak off. Hard gels you have to file off. It's nothing to do with touching it. Soft gel isn't going to be soft to the touch. This is what I wondered about when I first started. Like, does it mean it's soft to the touch? Am I going to walk out of having my nails done with gel dripping off my fingertips? No. SundayBeauty.com sums it up nicely by saying soft gels have elongated structures with gaps in between, allowing it to be broken down by acetone and soaked off, whereas hard gels have tightly woven structures that aren't affected by acetone, so it doesn't soak off. You have to file it off with an e-file or a hand file. So soft soaks, hard files. You can get hard or soft versions of most gels. Gel polish tends to be, it's mostly soak off, but you can get some hard gel polishes. And builder gels and sculpting gels used to tend to mainly, I'm covering myself there. My media studies teacher taught me that. Father John, no, he'd left by them. Nick, doesn't matter. Don't ever say they always do or they always are. Say tend. Just covers yourself for the exception to the rule. Anyway, builder gels and sculpting gels used to tend to mainly be hard gels, which is why some people will refer to builder gel as hard gel. But now soft builder gels are much more common. So if someone says a hard gel, they might just mean a builder gel, but that's what hard and soft gels come down to. Soft soaks, hard doesn't. However, NSI brought out a soak-off hard gel, which just throws a spanner in the works, probably just to confuse everyone. And I'm not sure how it makes sense, because the structure of hard gel is what makes it acetone resistant. So if you're making it permeable, then surely you're getting rid of the qualities that make it a hard gel. So I'm not really sure about that one. Stop trying to confuse people, NSI. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. The nitty gritty. The actual gel. We've done soft gel and hard gel. So we've got gel polish, rubber gel, foil gel, builder gel, sculpting gel, spider gel, gel paints, pudding gels. And there'll probably be 50 more gels invented by the time I finish this sentence. We'll look at everything and compare consistencies and textures and what they're for and when to use them. Gel polish is a composition of several oligomers, however it's said, which is another molecular complex with a bunch of, very scientific here, a bunch of monomers, and it doesn't need to be mixed with anything. It's not two-part like acrylic where you need a liquid monomer. Gel is what it is. It's ready to go. There's no faffing about with anything. There it is. Here's the gel. That is all. The end. It's got a ton of ingredients in. It's always nice to go with a brand that is free of. So there's a bunch of nasties that can be in gel polishes that I guess people realize don't need to be in there, so now they are free of, and there's it can be free of 7, free of 10, free of, I think some are free of 20. I don't know what those 20 things are. Like HEMA, which is the most common cause for someone to have a reaction to a product. It's not the only thing that someone can have a reaction to, but it is the most common. So if someone does have a reaction, try them with a HEMA free product first. It's also nice to go with a brand that is vegan friendly and cruelty free. I don't know why we humans are still testing on animals when there's and murderers in prisons. Have I said too much? Gel polish is a nail polish made of gel. I think this much you didn't need me for. Gel polish can't be removed with regular nail polish. It has to be buffed and removed with acetone, which is where you'll see the foil wraps, or you can get little clips where you soak a little square of cotton wool, put that on a buffed nail. You have to take the shine off and then wrap it in foil or put one of these clips over it. And depending on how long the brand says to leave it for, it soaks it off and then you can scrape it off. Most gel polishes are advertised to last 2 to 3 weeks. I have a couple of clients that come every 4 weeks and theirs are still fine. And there's always a client who will come or they'll miss an appointment, or they just don't come very regularly at all. I call them my irregulars. I have my regulars and my irregulars, and sometimes the irregulars haven't been for 10 weeks, maybe more, and they've still got their gel polish on. It's still shiny, it's still intact, but they've just got loads of growth from the cuticle. I find after the 4-week mark, it does take a bit more of a soak to remove it. It's a bit harder to remove, so I just make sure instead of just taking the shine off, I'll sort of score it a bit just so that the acetone can soak into it better. So with gel polish also comes rubber gel polish. You can get rubber base coats and rubber top coats. Some brands might call them different things, but essentially they're just thicker, so they provide more strength. And rubber base is great for filling in ridges or smoothing out any unevenness on the nail plate so that you've got a smooth surface for the colour application. Rubber top coat will also add strength and smooth things out, though I personally wouldn't use a rubber base and a rubber top on short nails like mine, because I think they might look a bit fat, might look a bit bulbous. Not to say that you can't do that, but I'm just not a fan of short nails being thick. Rubber top is also great for encapsulating, meaning to enclose in thin pieces of nail art, or for using over fine glitter. Anything bigger than fine glitter, I like to top, cure, buff, so you don't have any pokey uppy bits. You buff them off, buff off, and then you can top again so the final top coat is nice and smooth. So let's have a quick look at the difference in consistency between regular, when I say regular I mean gel polish still, regular base coat and rubber base coat. So this is a regular gel polish base coat. It's very thin and it's not going to fill in any ridges or anything like that because it is thin. I'll take this off and show you. Excuse my blister, it's a hoovering injury. I injured myself whilst hoovering. I should just not bother hoovering, it's too dangerous. So this is a rubber base coat. You can see it's a lot, well, I hope you can see, it's a lot thicker. So I'll show you on the nail. It's, I think you can tell, look, it's a bit stringy as well. It's got more sort of, it's more elastic quality to it. And it is thicker and it will smooth out any ridges and any unevenness on the nail. And if you don't have ridges or unevenness, you can use it for a bit of extra strength. Gel polish colours I haven't seen come in sort of rubber form. You can get different colour rubber base coats, but gel polish colour layers tend to not have, well, I haven't seen rubber forms of them. This is the Madame Glam gel polish. I love the consistency of these, the opacity. Oh, look at this colour. Really like this. It's just not me to wear pink. I mean, come on gang, you know me. If you see me wearing this colour, it's a signal, send help. This brand, Madame Glam, is very consistent with its consistency, but consistencies with gel polishes can vary massively from brand to brand. Also in the gel polish family, did my eyes just go crossed? I've got banisters in front of me. There's banisters and then stairs going downstairs and then the other side of the banister, and every time I look up from my desk my eyes can't quite figure it out and goes a bit woo. Anyway, another member of the gel polish family is foil gel, which if you've been with me for a while, you'll know I really struggle to say. I can say it slowly and carefully and planned, foil gel, but quickly, I don't know. My mouth just doesn't like those words together. Foil. So foil gel is for use with nail foils. Before foil gel, oh dear, was a thing, you just had foil glue, which is white, and you put it on with the brush. It comes with a bottle, you put it on the nail and it needs to be left to air dry for a bit, and when you put it on it looks a bit blue, and then once it goes clear that means it's sort of dry, and then you'd use that to apply nail foils to. But then foil gel became a thing. What a game changer it was. Unlike with foil glue, where you could never tell if you were going to get a perfect full coverage pickup of the foil, but foil gel you apply, so it's a gel polish, so you apply it like you would a coat of gel polish, and then it cures, and what you're left with is the perfect tacky layer for nail foils. Foil gel is the best thing since, I don't know, other gel? We've got lots to choose from. Pick a gel, it's the best thing since that. I do have a video that is devoted to hair in my eye. It's not devoted to this hair in my eye. Get out. Is it gone? No. I can feel it on my eyelashes. Get the motherfuck. Okay. What do I have? I have a video that is just about using foil gel, and I think once you've tried foil gel, I cannot wait till we've stopped talking about this. Once you've tried that stuff, you will never go back to using foil glue. And I think because foil glue was so unpredictable, for me anyway, I'm sure there's plenty of people who get on perfectly well with it, but I just sucked at it. And because of that, I wouldn't use it often. So people would say, oh, I was thinking of a foil, and I'd be like, oh no, are you sure you don't want me to hand paint this or do this? But now with foil gel, foil fear is a thing of the past. I would definitely recommend having a foil gel over a foil glue. We've talked enough about foil gel now. On to the next thing, please, Joseph. There are thousands of brands of gel polish. Some are cheap, some are expensive. But if you're going to be a nail tech, if you're going to be doing other people's nails and charging for it, then it's definitely worth going for a reputable brand that is willing to give you their MSDs, or are they just called SDS now? Safety data sheets, whatever they're called now. And that has a list of all the ingredients in the products that you're using and all the information about it. If they're not willing to provide you with those, I would avoid that brand, because it's likely that your insurance provider is going to require that you have a copy of the MSDs in your salon or wherever you're using these polishes. When you're doing it on other people, you don't have to insure yourself to do your own nails. So there's tons of brands to choose from, but choose carefully, choose wisely. Right, let's talk about gel paints. Am I looking a bit shiny? Just stab myself in the face with this brush that has a mixture of all sorts of powder on it. Let's talk about gel paints. I'm so professional. Gel paints. Let's not talk about that. Gel paints are thicker and more pigmented than gel polish. Some gel polishes, I think nowadays, because there are so many gel polish brands, if you want your brand to be successful, you have to make sure that they're super pigmented, the opacity is great, but gel paints are made specifically for painting detail. Because they're thicker, they're going to stay in place better than a gel polish when you're painting, which is thinner consistency, so a bit more runny. And the pigmentation of gel paints means that you'll only need to do one coat. You don't want to spend half an hour doing a design and then have to do a second coat on it. I'll tell you what's a really good thing to have is a black and a white gel paint, because the black is super duper black and the white is super duper white. And sometimes if you're doing designs, I find the white very handy at Christmas. If you've done, say, glitter in the background or something, any design you can think of in the background, and then you want to put white features on top, using a gel polish, it might not stand out as much, but a gel paint will really stand out and be crisp and bright on top of anything else. If you're not sure if you're going to like them, get a black or a white, because even if you do decide that you'd rather do nail art with gel polish, not gel paints, I think you will find that you'll have a lot of use for a white gel paint. Is this getting confusing? I'm really worried that I'm rambling so much. It's just not. I hope you've got a pen and paper. Let's talk about pudding gels and buttercreams, that sort of thing, and then we'll have a look at gel paints next to those. So pudding gels and buttercream gels, apart from sounding delicious, are kind of halfway between gel polish and gel paint, where you wouldn't necessarily paint a whole nail with a gel paint, you would with a buttercream or a pudding gel. So they are thicker than gel polish. They're not as thick as gel paints, and I think it's similar with the pigmentation and the opacity of them. I think they are more pigmented than gel polish, and they're definitely creamier in consistency. They also come in a pot, so you will need a gel brush to apply a pudding gel or a buttercream. I did show the Madame Glam pudding gels in a video recently, and I also did some artwork with them as well, so I'll put a link to that in the description, but we will have a look at them on screen in a sec. But I did really like the way they applied, and you might find that you prefer to use a gel brush to take product out of a pot and apply to the nail that way instead of a bottle brush. But essentially they are a gel polish, they're just thicker, creamier, and in a pot. So these are two types of gel paints. This one's from Blue Sky and this one is from Madame Glam. This one is white. This one is very thick. I think I want to get the Madame Glam version. So you can see the consistency is thicker than gel polish and it's incredibly pigmented and super opaque. So as I let it fall off there, it does fall, but it's very slow because it's so thick. So the Madame Glam one is a glitter one. They do plain ones, but I've got the glitter ones. And it is thicker than gel polish, but it's thinner than the Blue Sky one. And I have found that I prefer this consistency for a gel paint. And the opacity is insane. I use it in a video recently, and I used it to outline some nails, and it's just gorgeous. You could paint the whole nail with it. Oh my goodness. Look at. Oh, I think I might have to paint all my nails with that. So even though they are designed for doing painting, gel painting, you can use it over the whole nail. And this one, oh, that's amazing. But this consistency, I probably wouldn't apply over the whole nail. I think it would just be too thick, and I think it might sort of crinkle a bit under the lamp. But the gold one, oh, stop ogling, Joseph. Let's compare them to a pudding gel. So this is the Madame Glam pudding gel. Other brands might call them different things. I know that it's Light Elegance that call theirs buttercreams. So this is definitely halfway between the two, and this would be applied as a full colour, which I did in a video recently. So you see how super opaque it is as well. I think some of them you can probably get one coat ones where, you know, they advise you only need to do one coat, but I always like to do two coats just for the strength, because it's not just about the opacity, it's about the strength that a gel polish or a pudding gel will give your client. So that is a pudding gel and this is a gel paint. It's probably quite hard to see the difference on camera, but they do serve those different purposes. This is more of a full cover and these are more for details. It's worth noting with regard to gel polish that Shellac is a brand, well, it's what the brand CND, that's what they call their gel polish, or it's one of their gel polishes. I don't know if they have more. I think it's actually a hybrid of regular gel and gel polish. So if someone asks you if you do Shellac and that's not the brand you use, just be sure to clarify whether they want CND Shellac, the brand, or whether they just mean gel polish. You don't want to lose a client or miss out on a potential client if they just meant gel polish. I've actually tried it before and I didn't think that much of it wear wise. It didn't wear as well, and that might be because it's a hybrid. It did come off a lot easier than gel polish, but I don't think gel polish is difficult to get off. So always remember to check whether they want that or they just mean gel polish. But like I say, I've switched to Madame Glam recently and I love everything about it, including their labels. I have a bit of a fixation with their labels. The glitter polishes they have, and they have glittery, the hollow ones. Oh, stop it. Let's talk builder gels. As with everything in the nail world, there are billions, maybe not billions, thousands of brands of builder gels. They come in a pot and those pots can vary in shape, size. It can go on natural nails for extra strength, or it's what's going to go on the natural nail and the extension, the platform that we've created with either a form or a tip or any of the things we've talked about earlier. And builder gel can be hard, so file off, or it can be a soft, so soak off. It also comes in different consistencies, anything from a thin consistency, which is more runny, to a super duper thick consistency. This is something that you'll need to trial to see which one suits you best. I use a consistency that's more thin because that's what I learnt within my course. We used quite a thin one, and that's what I've just stuck with since then. But you won't want to use a really thin consistency when you're using forms, because it could start to run down the sides before you've got the shape how you want it, quicker than you can get it in the lamp. Using builder gel on the natural nail is what's called an overlay. Some people use the term overlay for referring to the builder layer, be it of gel or acrylic, over an extension, but is most commonly meant to mean builder gel or acrylic on the natural nail. And it's going to add strength, which is great for people who might have particularly weak nails, and maybe a gel polish rubber base isn't quite enough. So it's going to help them grow their nails but minimize the risk of any breakage. I wouldn't worry too much about the structure of the build if they're short nails. If they're long, obviously you need to treat them as you would if it was an extension. But if they're short, you don't want to build up a lot of products. They're going to look bulky, and you haven't got this long extension that needs support. So it doesn't have to be as structurally sound as a long nail. I don't know why I'm doing long like this. If you're just starting out, long nails like this probably aren't quite on your radar yet. I don't think, unless you're doing competition nails, that if someone came in asking for super long nails, I think that'd be scary for anyone. But with long nails, that's where your apex, your C-curve, and the structure of your build all comes into play to make sure that nail will be strong. It's not just gonna crack under pressure. Sometimes you'll see with people working with gel, they'll hold a nail upside down. So you'll put your product on, put your sort of bead of gel that you've picked up. We'll look at builder gels and the different types in a sec. The bead has been applied and you've put it where you want it, and then you hold the nail upside down. This is so that gravity does its thing and it pulls the product to the center, and then you can work on it. So let's say this is your nail and you've turned it upside down and you've got your gel product on there, and then you can watch as it starts to pull down. The thinner the consistency of gel, the quicker this will happen. And then you can use your brush and just with very small movements, if its high point is too far over here and you want it here, you'll sort of just touch into the gel a tiny bit and just almost pull a string back to there and just manipulate the product to move it where you want it. I always do the upside down thing, we call it, when I'm doing gel extensions, and I have the client sort of hold their hand here and then I'm underneath it fiddling around with my brush. So that's what people are doing when they hold it upside down. I know one of you asked about that. And then once it's exactly where you want it, turn the hand back over and get that shit in the lamp. It's gel, especially with a thinner consistency gel, it's going to self-level. A thicker gel will stay much more in place, so you won't have to necessarily do the upside down thingy. But a thin gel, the second you turn it back over, it's going to start to level out. So the quicker you get it in the lamp, the quicker the polymerization process starts and it starts to set. When I'm doing a set of gel extensions, I'll do one nail at a time on each hand. So I'll do this nail, turn it upside down, do the upside down thingy, back over in the lamp, then work on this finger and then just alternate between the two. So it won't take any longer because you're still doing one nail after the other. And similar when you're working on the thumb, before I do the thumbs, I make sure that the fingers have had a full cure, that the shape that we've built is not going anywhere. Because when you're holding someone's thumb, their fingers are now on the side. So if you've got a gel that is not cured, it's going to start to pull down this way. So make sure these are cured before doing the thumb. And also you want the thumb to go in the lamp straight. You don't want them to put their hand in the lamp normally, because look where my thumb is, the gel's just going to fall to the side and then you've just got a big palaver to take it off. And once we've talked about all the gels and what they are, we'll have a look at them and compare consistencies. Pulling up gel and it's falling down. Was that obvious? So builder in a bottle is builder gel in a bottle. I know, shocking. So instead of using a brush and picking up a bead, it's called, of gel, you can use the brush that comes with the bottle. You can also decant some from the bottle and then use a gel brush, but then you may as well just get a pot gel. I have noticed some downsides to builder in a bottle. I often find it's gloopy. not necessarily in a good way. Maybe you like gloopy gel. When I used it for a bit, I got a lot more air bubbles in my gel, which obviously is not what you want because they can cause lifting if there's an air bubble, meaning that it could spread and then the product will lift off. I don't know whether that's because you're pushing the bottle in the brush repeatedly. No, pushing the brush in the bottle and that's creating air bubbles, I'm not sure. Or maybe it's from trying to scrape around the bottle with the brush. The other downside I find with Builder in a bottle is that you can't get all the product out the bottle. It's like, you know, the squeezy toothpaste tubes. You can roll it up as much as you like, but you can't get every last morsel out. Whereas with a pump bottle toothpaste, my toothpaste of choice, you've got that thing that rises up and pushes all the product out. Builder gels in pots don't have that, but you can see all the product. It's open and you can scrape every last morsel out with your gel brush. Also, I think the bottle brush itself isn't ideal for applying the product with. The bristles from a bottle brush come out of a circle and it's kind of round, isn't it? Whereas with a gel brush, the bristles are coming out of a flat, you know, the metal is kind of flattened and it comes out in a line like this. I just think that gives you a lot more control and you can see better what you're doing. That's what I think anyway. As with any product, it's going to be down to personal preference. What I like working with, someone else might hate working with, and vice versa. But don't feel like you need to get a million different types of builder gel to find which works best for you. I suspect you'll naturally want to start with what you've learnt with, and then as you start making a profit, that's when you can try different things and see how you get on with those. You don't need to go out and buy everything straight away, which is what I did. So this is the builder gel that I use. This is a hard builder gel, so it needs to be filed off. It's not an expensive brand, it's called Canny. I think you can get it on eBay or Amazon, and I just get on really well with the consistency. This is the gel brush that I use. It's from Glitter Planet and I love it. I don't know what I've done to it there, but they've got some amazing brushes there. So this is the builder gel I use and it's quite a runny consistency. So I have to work quickly, but it does help with an apex because when I hold the finger upside down, do the upside downy thing, then it really falls quite quickly and I can work on the shape. You can see if I held the pot like this, it starts to come out. It's called the consistency or the viscosity. So that's a builder gel, that's a hard builder gel, which we know means you have to file it off. This is a builder gel in a bottle. So you've got the bottle brush. So you can get builder gels in a bunch of different colours. So this one is thicker than the pot one that I have. But I think it's when you put the brush in, you kind of want to let it sit in there for a minute for the gel to kind of gather onto the brush. So you can use this brush to apply it and then you would put it wherever you wanted. I won't do a video on how to build because that's a whole other video in itself. But you'll see that this will, I haven't built it up, but if I was doing it on my short nails, I wouldn't go any thicker than that. I think even that looks a bit more bulky than I would like. But you can see where I've had my finger like that, how it's running over there. And that's the gel self-leveling and just doing what you would expect something that's gel to do. If I hold it on this side for a bit, it will head back towards the center and then start to run towards the other side. So you can see what you're picking up with this. You pick up a bead and then use this brush to put it where you want it. You can see this is a lot thinner than that one in a bottle. And when it is upside down, this is what I mean by doing those little movements. You just touch there and pull, and you can change where your high point is. If I want to bring it more to the center, you would just wiggle it around there, or if then it was too far in the center and I wanted it back, I would take it back this way. So I want to take more of it back, so we'll do this and pull it back. This is when it's upside down. And then turn it back over, get that shit in the lamp. There are a whole bunch of different types of sculpting gel as well. Of course, God forbid there be one gel. Gel nails, just one gel. Just one gel for gel nails. No, 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 don't be ridiculous. Sculpting gel tends to be used for when you're using a form instead of a tip to create an extension, because it's a lot thicker and it's not going to run off the sides. You can fiddle about with your shape and everything without it just falling and dripping off the sides. You probably can do a few nails or even all 4 fingers before having to put them in the lamp because it's not moving anywhere. Sculpting gel will always be on the thicker side, and the one I have to show you is really, really thick. The one I have is called a cool cure, because sometimes when you have a lot of gel product on a nail and it goes in the lamp, you can get what's called a heat spike, where all those little monomers buzzing around and connecting to form polymers as the nail cures causes heat on the nail bed, and it can be really bad. You can even get it with gel polish. If someone's got really thin nail plates, they can get heat spike from gel polish. It's not very common, but it's certainly much more likely to happen when you're building a big layer of gel, because there's so many monomers buzzing around, which is why companies come out with products called Cool Cure. What's this? Cool Cure Sculpting Gel. Well, I tried this and Cool Cure my bottom. It was hotter than the sun, and I daren't use it on any client, so I've only ever used it on myself, which is why I've still got some left. This is years old. I should probably throw it away. Sometimes the burn's quite nice, like when it's not really strong and it's just a kind of ow, 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 and then it dies down. And it will start low and then it will get higher and higher and hotter and hotter. And then as they do start to connect and the amount of things buzzing around gets smaller because they're all connected, then the heat spike comes back down again. But if you are using a product that is giving a really bad heat spike, then you can cause some damage to the nail or the nail bed. If you do have a product that does do that, you can do it in layers, but it is easier to get the whole build done in one go, so you don't have to do a bit, cure it, then build up some more. Unlike this, where if I held this like this, it's going to start pouring out. This one you can hold upside down and it's not coming out because it's so thick. It's not going to run down the sides, it's going to stay where you put it. So this consistency is like this. So I'm going to pop a bunch here, and you'll see that if I hold my nail to the side, it's not going to move anywhere near as quickly as a thinner consistency gel would or a builder in a bottle would. So I can hold it like this. By now, one of these would have started to run down, but this one is still in place in the center. With this gel, you can do a few nails and it's not really going to change position. But between this runny gel and this super thick gel, there's all the consistencies and viscosities in between the two. The other type of sculpting gel is even thicker. It's almost like a putty, and it's for sculpting 3D nail art, which you can do with acrylic as well. You might see someone sculpting a 3D flower, and that's what 3D sculpting gel is for. You can use a brush to do it, so you'll probably need like a slip solution, which will just be your prep or like isopropyl alcohol, and that will help you manipulate the gel. Or I have seen people use fingers to make the little ball for the center of a flower. So I don't think it's particularly sticky. And unlike acrylic, where as you're sculpting this shape, it's starting to set, with a 3D sculpting gel, it's not going to set until you put it in the lamp. So you can faff about as long as you want. But it will be apparent when you're buying a sculpting gel, whether it's a sculpting gel for building on the nail or whether it's for sculpting 3D objects. Another type of gel is fibre gel. Fibre gel is a thick consistency gel that contains synthetic fibres that become locked together to form a blanket over the nail. I think Maybe this is what you use with the stringy things, but essentially it's just another type of gel that has fibres in. It's not that common, I don't think, and it looks kind of fiddly to me, all those loose bits of, I would get in a mess with that. But it's another type of gel that has synthetic fibres in for adding the strength, and you can use that on extensions or with those stringy bits. Next up we have Polygel. More gel. Polygel is like the love child of acrylic and gel. It's meant to have the best qualities of acrylic and gel, and it does need to be cured in a lamp because of the gel. And with Polygel you need a slip solution that has to be, I think, at least 70% alcohol, like isopropyl alcohol. You can't go using the strongest vodka Russia has to offer, but this slip solution has a much lighter odour than acrylic does, and I think the smell of acrylic is what can put some people off acrylic. It's what put me off acrylic, because for some reason the smell of acrylic, it sets off something in my brain that makes me have a panic attack. I don't know why. Do I associate it with something? Is there some chemical in it that my brain, I don't know, but it just makes me really anxious. So if you're the same, if you don't like the smell of acrylic, or if you want to go from using acrylic to gel or gel to acrylic, I think Polygel is a good place to start for either of those, because you can faff around with it for as long as you want without it starting to cure and harden, but you use the same kind of patting and manipulation and movements that you would when using acrylic. If you want to laugh at me attempting to use Polygel, you can watch that video. And as with everything else, there are tons of brands and they all have different names for it. So a lot of them will call it Polygel, some will call it Acrygel. There's another word I can't think that someone uses it, but it'll normally have some kind of poly or acry type word in it. Let's just have a look at it, shall we? Because we're heading towards shoelace and lemon meringue pie territory. So this is a Polygel. This is called Poly Nail Gel. This is by Model Ones, and they come in all different colours because you use it as the build, or you can use it just to get the platform for an extension. And you get this, which is kind of, I can't really describe the consistency of it. It looks kind of grainy. I don't know whether it's supposed to. I think some of them look a bit more satin. Then you get one of these tools, which I probably should have got ready first. So one side has this on the end. What are they calling it? A brush and a picker. So you'd use that to scrape off the product you want. It is pretty sticky. And then you'd put this on whatever you were putting it on, be it over a tip or a form. I'm no good at this, so this isn't an example of how to do it. Please don't do what I'm doing. And then you have a slip solution. I'm just going to put a little bit in the lid. We'll take the brush end, and then you dip your brush in there, and then you would use that to help you push this where you want it. Obviously, this isn't something I do because, oh dear Lord, look at my technique. I'm trying to do gel techniques with this, but it is more of the technique that you would use when applying acrylic. And the more slip solution you have on your brush, the looser you're going to make the product. And then once you've got it where you want, not like this is ghastly, but once you have it where you want, then you would cure this in the lamp. See, I've put too much slip solution on. It's all flooded into my side walls. You know, I said earlier about the TikTok videos. I think they're using Polygel in that. Oh no! And let's just move away from the Polygel because I don't know what I'm doing. Is this a colour changing one? Yes, it is. That's why it's changing colour. Oh, that's cool. We need to mention that with Builder Gel, Builder in a Bottle, Polygel, Acrylic, Fibre Gel, all that jazz, you can put gel polish on top of. But once you've done your build, you will, if it's a gel, it's going to have a tacky layer, so you will wipe that off, and then you will, I think someone once asked if when you have acrylic nails and they build that and then they file it to smooth it all out, they asked if you do that with gel as well, and you absolutely do. You want to sharpen your shape and you want to file it so it's all smooth. You want to make sure it's flush with the cuticle, so you don't have, let's say again, this was your nail and this is your cuticle. You don't want there to be a gap where you've got nail plate and then the product starting. You want to file it so it blends smoothly in, so it looks like it is coming straight out of your cuticle with no gap and then product. You don't want it to look like product is just plonked on top. And gel polish, the vast majority of them are soft soak off gels, so they can go on top of anything. And some people asked if you could put hard gel on top of soft gel. Now, I was always under the impression that you couldn't do that, but then I heard that you could do that, and I have done a design where I think it was a milkshake nail, and we used gel polish colour, and then we built, so we encapsulated with the builder layer of gel with hard builder gel. So I'm pretty sure that you can put hard gel over soft gel, but I Googleized it to try and get a definitive answer, and I couldn't find one, so it's a fucking mystery. I'm pretty sure I have seen a well-known tech, who was it? Can't remember. I think she did it. So if she did it, it must be fine. That's my theory. So if you want to do a lot of detail with gel polish or gel paints or pudding gel, but you don't want to put it on top of your build layer that you've cured and then filed to a neat shape and made all nice and smooth, you could do a thin layer of your builder gel or other building product, cure it, and then do your design with your soft gels, your gel paints, and then you can do your build layer. So you're encapsulating the design, and this is what you do when you're building extensions if you want to put glitter in them, or if you want to put little shapes or embellishments of sorts. But you wouldn't put it straight onto the natural nail. You would want a layer of the builder product that you're using before doing the other stuff. I definitely feel like each of these products and subjects could have a whole video just for them, but I'm just trying to get out as much as possible, and I was kind of hoping it would be coherent, but I'm starting to feel like it might not be. In summation, you should file, forget all the encapsulating stuff. I mean, don't forget it, but that's not what we're talking about anymore. So when you do your extension with whatever building product you're using, you definitely want to wipe and then file and refine the shape and everything. I think a few people have said before that they thought that was just for acrylic. Is there anything I need to say about extensions? Oh, there was one of you said that something that you found a bit confusing when you first started was the difference between infills, backfills and rebalances. Infills and backfills, I'm 99.9% sure, exactly the same thing. When someone comes back 2 to 3 to 4 weeks after having extensions and they've got growth, if they come back after 2 or 3 weeks, you might just need to file down. So I will hand file off the gel polish, and then you file out any bits at the back that might have started to lift, and then you're going to fill in the growth. So where the nail's grown out from the cuticle, you're going to fill that in with product, and then again you would file to refine and smooth it all out. So that will be an infill or a backfill. And then a rebalance, you started with your apex here and it's grown out and it's over here, it's not offering the right support, and you want to move it back to there. So you're not actually moving that product from there to there. You'll file this down quite a lot, and you'll do the infill, the backfill at the same time. So you'll fill that out and you'll build the apex in its new place. So that's called a rebalance, because you are rebalancing it. Okay, right. Are we ready for another gel? Are you sick of the sight of me? I'm sick of the sight of me. I'm sick of the sound of my own voice. I am ready to stop fucking talking. But there's another gel that we haven't mentioned yet, so I will keep talking. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not that sorry. If you're still here, it's your own damn fault. And do you know what I'm wondering now? If the cut on my nose and my head has been really visible this whole time. I did what's it called? Dermaplaning. Basically just where you shave your whole face. I don't have a particularly hairy face, just your average peach fuzz, but I heard it's really good for your complexion and I've got like weird pigment shit on my face. So I was dermaplaning the other day with a fresh blade and I've cut myself, and I can't see from here whether it's visible on camera. Stop it. Lemon meringue pie. What's the next gel? The next gel is spider gel. Spider gel, spider gel. Does whatever a spider gel does. I think is the last gel on my list. Hooray! This is spider gel, of course. There are billions of brands and it comes in all different colours and they are all sticky as fuck. It is super stretchy, super sticky, and definitely isn't something you would want to try and paint on a nail, but oh my goodness, shall we try it anyway? So it's really for creating thin lines, and then the more you let it hang from whatever you're using to pick it up with, I'll use a cuticle stick. Oh no! Then the thinner the line will get because the product will stretch out more. But you wouldn't want to use this as a polish because that's not what it's made for, and it's super sticky. So what it's mainly used for is really thin lines. See this? Super thin. Or some people can do perfectly symmetrical patterns with it. I'm not one of those people. Let's see if we can do a triangle inside that triangle. Oh my word. Look what I did. But I probably wouldn't attempt to do that on a client because I just don't see it going very well. Let's try and get another one symmetrically above it. You have to go a bit further than you think. Oh, I've run out. And it is, I can't see what I'm doing, but it is for doing very thin lines. In my video the other day I did some just kind of curved lines like this, and one of you said that you saw the thumbnail but didn't watch the video and tried to paint thin lines like this because you didn't know that I was using spider gel. But these are the thinnest lines. You couldn't paint a line this thin, so it is kind of cool for getting super thin lines. Or look, constellations! How have I not used this to do look at the mess I'm getting in. How have I not used this to do constellations? How do you get off? Wait, will you just, there we go. So you could dot carefully, line, dot, line, dot. Oh my goodness, this is happening. What a fantastic way to do constellations. I can't believe I haven't done them like this yet. Right, let's wipe some of this off. It's also good to get super straight lines. So if you were doing like a candy cane, you wanted really thin lines. I can't keep my finger still. You could do that and then let it fall a bit so it's nice and thin. And then that, and you see how you get perfectly straight, thin lines, and then you could fill it in with, I would fill it in with gel polish, not with spider gel. But one thing you can do with these, which is really cool, I do have a video for it. Oh, it's so sticky, especially on a black nail, but you would want to do your second coat of black and then wipe it, and I would buff it just to make sure there was definitely no tackiness on it. And then I think I went round and round the nail like this. And each time you go round, it's sort of picking up the string from the back, so you get more strings. And obviously before you put this in the lamp, you want to wipe this off the skin. So you definitely don't want it to be on your skin or the client's skin. And then you would cure that, and then you could rub in some neon pigments or any colour pigments, and it would look like, I'll put a picture on screen of the one I did. So that's spider gel. I will put a link. This came in a set of, I think there are about 8 of all different colours, so I'll put a link to them because they are still available in the description. So that is spider gel. I think it's really cool and you can do some really cool stuff with it, and if you want to spend the time kind of mastering it, the things that I've seen people do with it is really amazing. It's just so fucking sticky, but all gel's sticky. That's the one downside about gel, as much as I love gel, it's just everything's sticky. Everything becomes sticky. My pots of builder gel, even though the lids are on and I make sure everything's clean and the pot is clean before I put it in the drawer, if you leave it there for a while, it will be stuck to whatever you put it on. I don't know why. Maybe it's just to annoy me, which it does. But I think we've covered gel. There is another nail system which is used in the way that gel polish is used, and that is dip powders. I'm not sure how much time I've got left to talk because all my devices are on about 7% battery and I've got one charger up here. So dip powder, I've never used it, but the internet tells me that it is a much more finely ground acrylic that is used with a liquid resin type thing. Now, personally, I'm not a fan. If you use it or get it and you love it, that's fantastic. But for me, I feel like when it came out, it was a bit of a kind of gimmick and somehow it caught on. So I've looked into the process and I'm even more confused as to how it caught on. Went onto the website, which is a brand that does dip powder, and these are the steps on their website that they say to do. I'm going to read them because I can't remember. Okay, so you have a bonder, which is in a bottle with a brush. You apply a base resin, I'm going to say type thing, because I couldn't find on the website exactly what this stuff was, but it's a base coat or something, but it's also in a bottle that you apply with a brush. And then you dip your finger into the powder, not the colour powder first. I guess it's like what would be a base coat kind of powder. And then you dust off the excess and then apply this resin type thing again. And then you dip into hair in my eye again. Will you fuck off? You dip into the colour powder and then dust off, apply the resiny thing again, second dip into the colour powder and again dust off, and then the resiny thing again and dip into a clear powder, and then you apply a sealer, which looked from the pictures like a gel, but it might be another resin type thing. So you apply that, which is in a bottle with a brush, and you wait for it to dry. And this website said that this is activating your powders or something, and it's making them harden. And then you file, shape, neaten up your free edge and buff the nail. Then you apply this sealer stuff again, and it says you rub it in to remove any excess sealer. Then you top coat with a polish or a bottle of some kind of liquid. So you top coat and wait for it to dry, and then you add another coat of top coat and wait for it to dry. I mean, no offense to anyone who uses it or likes it or gets it done, but what the fuck is all of that about? I don't know. I don't know about it. So like I say, I don't mean any offense to anyone who uses it and likes it. I just don't get it. I don't get the appeal of it. And probably because I haven't looked for them, but I have seen pictures of a full set of dip nails, and I haven't seen one where around the cuticle you have a perfect application. Even the picture on this website didn't have perfect application around the cuticle. I don't know. I'm sure nail techs that use dip powder do a perfectly neat job, and I just haven't seen pictures. But the pictures I have seen, I haven't seen a perfectly neat. I feel like I'm just bashing it, and I don't mean to bash it, and I'm not saying don't use it. I think it's just not for me. But please don't take this as, no hate to the dippers out there. No hate to anyone. Everyone is awesome. Everyone is awesome. Everything is awesome. So I don't have dip powder products to show you, but it is a kind of two-part thing where you have like a resin that is activating something and then the dip powder. Maybe I've said all of this wrong, but this is what a brand website said. So if it's wrong, don't blame me, blame them. And it's all love to the dippers out there. It's just not my bag Yeah, baby, it's not my bag. What am I gonna do about the fact that the battery's dying on everything? I have to go downstairs and get another charger. I don't want to move. Yeah, my portable charger, yes. I think that covers a lot of the products that I can think of. Anyway, we haven't covered my short tuft of hair yet, but it's still there in case you're wondering. I'm getting my hair done soon. And I cannot wait. It's in desperate need of some TLC. Anyway, so I think that's covered a lot of the products, and I hope it's kind of been helpful. There are a lot of other nail terms that can be confusing when you start out, so we'll do a few of those. Things like grit off the street, nail file, grit, and the numbers that you see or hear people saying, I'm going to be using a 240 grit or I'm going to use a 100 grit. I remember that being really confusing. So with nails, you'll tend to see 60, 80, 100, 240 and 310, I think it is. And the lower the number, the coarser the file. It kind of seems a bit backwards, but it doesn't, because the number, I think, relates to the amount of like abrasive stuff. Like if they were, it's not, but if it was grains of sand per inch or whatever, I think the number relates to how many grains of sand there is per some measurement. So that the more there is, the finer the file, and the less there is, the more coarse it's going to be. So an 80 grit file is much more brutal than a 240 grit file. And if you're working on a natural nail, you don't really want to use anything lower than a 240 because it will be too coarse and will make shreds in the nail. I have some e-files, which some people call nail drills. I don't really like that term because it's not a drill, it's an electric file, and they have bits that go on the end of the file, and they have different grit types as well. But I always use hand files. So if I was doing an infill on an extension, you want to start by taking the gel polish off that's on top of the builder gel or acrylic or one of the gels. Then I would start with an 80 grit file, which is coarse, so it's going to quickly take the gel polish off the builder gel. And then I'd switch to a 100 grit file, so it's a higher number, so it's a finer file. And I'd use that to take down some of the builder gel towards the back of the nail. And as I get closer to the amount of product I want to have removed, I'll move higher in grit number, so a finer file, a less coarse file, because if you're almost at the shape you want, whether it's when you're doing infills or when you've built the nail initially, the closer you get to the shape you want to go with a finer file, because an 80 grit file will take off a lot more product in one stroke than a 240 file would. Does that make sense? I think it's kind of a difficult one to articulate, but the main thing to remember is that the higher the number, the finer the file. The lower the number, the coarser the file. So my voice is normally a 240 grit, but at the moment it's about a 60 grit because I've been talking for 3 days. The coarser the file, the more product's going to come off with each stroke. I hope that made sense. Let's touch on some other terms that you will hear when you start doing nails. Acetone, isopropyl alcohol, cleanse, prep. Isopropyl alcohol, cleanse and prep, I've found to be pretty much the same thing. Acetone is a clear, colourless solvent that can dissolve or break down other materials, and that's what you're going to use for removing gel polish or any soak-off product. I've tried a lot of cleanse and prep solutions over the years, and I found that the majority of them's ingredients is isopropyl alcohol X%, 70%, 99%, and then one other ingredient which tends to be blue 1, which is just a colorant to make it blue, which is why now instead of buying a nail brand prep solution or isopropyl alcohol, I will buy just a bog standard isopropyl alcohol 99% or 70%. I get it from Amazon, and it is about a quarter of the price of a nail brand isopropyl alcohol that's had a bit of colouring put in it. So this is a branded cleanser prep sanitizer solution, and the ingredients are isopropyl alcohol and C142090, which tells us in brackets is called Blue 1. Whereas I buy, and the only reason I have this is because I found it really hard to buy the stuff I buy because of the pandemic. Everyone wanted to buy sanitizing stuff. I buy this. It's not as attractive, but it does exactly the same thing. It's isopropanol, which is isopropyl alcohol, and 1,000 mils of this. So a litre of this costs the same as 250 mils of this, which is just bananas. And I wish I'd have known this years and years ago when I was spending £8 for 250 mils, and I could have had 1,000 mils for, well, it used to be about £6.99, but the price went up during the pandemic and it hasn't fully come back down yet. But I suspect when demand goes down, hopefully the price will go down again. Like gloves, the gloves I use, normally about £8 a box. During the pandemic, they were £24 a box, which is just insane. So there are things that you can save money on, like buying this, and I do the same with acetone. I don't buy a nail brand acetone, I just buy, boom, acetone. I don't care about it being in a fancy bottle or being a nice colour. I decant it into a branded bottle, not to try and fool people. My clients know about this, but just because it's desk size and comes with the little lid with the little hole that I can put on foil wraps. But I will never buy nail brand isopropyl alcohol or acetone because the markup on it is ridiculous. I mean, there might be some prep solutions that have other stuff in them, but they're all kind of doing the same thing. They're all cleansing the nail, sanitizing the nail, and dehydrating the nail, or used for wiping the tacky layer off of gel polish. Somebody asked when you're supposed to wipe the tacky layer or not. When you're doing, let's say you're just doing a plain colour gel polish, base coat, cure, straight on with the colour coat, don't wipe, and then cure, then second colour coat, cure, and then top coat. And if you're using a tacky top coat, because you can get no wipe top coats and top coats which leave a sticky layer, because all gels will leave a sticky layer. Sometimes it's called the inhibition layer. So if your top coat leaves a sticky layer, you will wipe that off, obviously after it's cured. But with a no wipe top coat, once that's cured, it's dry, you can touch it, it's not sticky, it's good to go. I think they're my favourite because I think they are a bit shinier than a top coat that you need to wipe the sticky layer off. But I think it's good to have a tacky top and a no wipe top, because if you do want to double top something, let's say you have done a bit of nail art and you put the top coat over, and you know that when you top coat you're going to get a wiggly light line from the unevenness of your nail art, then you can do a second top coat. But you don't want to put a coat of anything on top of a no wipe top coat, because what you're putting on it won't have anything to grip to. It's not tacky, it's not buffed, it's a shiny glossy surface. So you wouldn't paint a shiny glossy surface, the paint would end up peeling off or chipping away. So you want to make sure that if you do want to put two top coats on, you would either, if you only had no wipe top coat, you'd do a no wipe top coat and then give it a buff so that the next top coat has something to stick to, or if you have a tacky top coat, do that one first and then you can put the no wipe one on top. Things like chrome powders, they get rubbed in, or like unicorn powders, they get rubbed into the shiny, cured, dry, glossy, no wipe top coat. And this is why things like chrome powders will wear at the tip, because they're sitting on this glossy surface that's got no grip, and then you're putting a top coat on, and that top coat is sitting on a layer of super fine powder, which in turn is on the shiny glossy surface. So there's nothing really to keep it on there. But if, when you do chromes or pigments that rub into the no wipe top coat, make sure that you really cap the free edge. Cap. So this is your nail and this is your nail bed. I can't, let's go like this. No, like this. So this is your free edge that's hanging beyond the nail bed. It's not hanging, but it's there. You want to cap the free edge, so you want to take the product over the free edge and underneath it a little bit, and that's when it cures, it kind of shrink wraps around the nail. So if you're using a chrome powder, when you top coat it, I find that if you over cap the free edge, so go even further under than you normally would, and that just helps prevent any wear on the tip. But I think after 2 weeks it just happens with chrome. It's not anything you've done wrong, it's just the nature of trying to get something to stick to a shiny, glossy, dry surface. Another term you might hear is floating, and this is when you're applying product on something that you don't want to drag. So let's say you've put a glitter somewhere on the nail. When you go on top of it, you don't want to drag the brush on the nail and pull some of the glitter off. You want to float it. So this is your brush and you've got the product on your brush. You want to apply it like this, so you're not really pushing into the nail, you're just floating it on top. It's also a good way to help with the light line, so the shiny line of light you see, to make sure that that's straight. It's also good if you've got thin pieces of nail art on there that might affect the light line because they're maybe sticking up a tiny bit. Then floating it will seal that inside and the pokey up bit won't affect your light line. What else have we got? We have got matte and velvet top coats, and the difference between them. A matte top coat will obviously give you a matte finish, but it can be quite a sort of satin matte. But then you have velvet top coat, which I've described before as just matte top coat on E. It's super duper matte and it has got a velvety, like a soft velvety feel, not in a kind of disturbing way, but it definitely feels like it has a bit of texture to it. It doesn't look like it does, but it does feel kind of velvety, but it is super duper matte. So if you don't want it to be a kind of satiny matte finish, go for I definitely prefer velvet over matte. If you want matte nails, why not go super duper matte? If you're going to do something, commit, do it fully. But let's be honest, as much as matte nails are nice, you can't really beat a shiny nail. What else have we got? We have got curing terms. So when someone says cure, it means to go in the lamp and cure. Or I think when acrylic hardens, they call that curing. You know, like how people who make things out of resin, that cures, but it doesn't cure under a light, I don't think. It is the process of, it's this process, the but you might hear someone say half cure or flash cure. So a half cure is a half cure. So whatever the brand recommends as the curing time for a product, let's say you're using a gel polish that takes a minute to cure in an LED lamp, a half cure you would just cure for 30 seconds. You never want to end on a half cure, you always want to fully cure everything before you go on to the next step. But sometimes you'll use a half cure so that the nail has more tackiness than it will after a full cure, because this is good for certain techniques that you might do, like burnishing glitter, which I will mention in a sec. I have a list here of a few terms, and for some reason I decided that the way I'd written them down wasn't the way I wanted to talk about them. So instead of moving that sentence up to there, I've numbered them. So we have number 7, 6, 0, because I realised there was something I wanted before the one I'd numbered number 1. So we've got 7, 6, 0, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 8. I think we're on number 4. I don't know where I am, but that's a half cure, just half the time of a full cure. And then a flash cure is usually 5-10 seconds in the lamp, and this will be used, I use it a lot when I'm doing nail art. So if I do a certain line somewhere and I think, oh, I'm happy with that, before I carry on, I want to flash cure it, because if I mess up the next bit and need to wipe it off, I don't want to wipe off the line that I'm happy with. So it just starts the polymerization process and holds it in place. And that's what I'll do also when I'm doing extensions. You know, I said I'll do one on this hand in the lamp, one on this hand in the lamp. I won't I won't get them to do a full cure, but when you're doing something and you want it to just be frozen so it doesn't move whilst you're doing something else or whilst you're doing the next bit, then you can just flash cure it. But whenever you finish doing the whole design or whatever it is you're doing, you want to make sure it's had a full cure before you put something else on top of it, because otherwise what's underneath what you've just put on won't be fully cured. I can feel I'm getting more rambly as the day goes on. I say the day goes on, it's 1:15 in the morning now. So there's 3 more things, 3 more terms that I'm going to mention, and then I think we will be done. The first one is sugaring, and sugaring is when you take a fine glitter and once it's on the nail and cured, you leave it like that, you don't top it. It's also called raw glitter. Raw as in R-A-W, not raw. And when you do that, you will, let's say you were doing a pink glitter and you wanted it sugared, I would do a pink polish, as similar colour to the glitter as possible, and then I would put a no wipe top coat and I would pour the glitter onto that, because then you know that once that's cured there's no tacky layer underneath. You can pour it onto a wet coat of the polish colour, so this would be the pink, but I don't like the idea of knowing that there's an inhibition layer under there that is still tacky. So I would do colour coats and then use a no wipe top coat, but before you cure it, you pour the glitter onto it when it's wet. Use a cuticle stick to go around the edges and sides of the nail. We're using this as a nail again, just to make that all neat. And then cure it, and then you would dust off the excess, and that would be it. And it does look really nice, but it feels like raw glitter. So I don't have any clients that have it because they just can't bear the feeling. I don't think I could either. Another technique with glitter that you might hear is burnishing. And burnishing is, so this is when you might use a half cure. So you would half cure the nail so it's got a stickier layer than it will have when it's had a full cure, and you'll pour a fine glitter. It won't work with a chunky glitter. You pour a fine glitter onto that tacky layer and then you rub it in very gently, but you rub in this glitter, and as you rub it in, the glitter will stick to the tacky layer and a piece of glitter won't stick to another piece of glitter. So as you rub in, all the bits that aren't stuck on that tacky layer will crumble off. So you have a very thin, fine, almost one glitter thick coat of glitter all over the nail. I think it's called rockstar nails, when you have all nails have been burnished with like a hollow glitter. It looks amazing. If you use a metallic glitter, so one that is just one colour, and when it moves and sparkles it doesn't have hollow or iridescent, it just stays that one colour. When you rub that in, because it's all these glitters line up in their shapes and cover the nail perfectly, it doesn't twinkle, but it does look like a metallic nail. So it's pretty cool. A hollow glitter burnished all over. I love it. I love doing it as well. And then you've just got this smooth, sparkly goodness. Maybe I should do some glitter. I don't wear nail art or glitter much, do I? I used to all the time. I used to wear extensions, like long extensions that would poke through my gloves when I'm working, and I would always have a design. No two nails would be the same. But I've just got a bit boring in my old age and I like them short and dark. But maybe I'll get a bit sparkly on. I think I might put that gold gel paint on all over. I wear silver jewellery though, never mind. So the last thing that we're going to talk about, which is good it's the last thing because I don't think I've got much volume left in my body, is that somebody asked about the difference between gradient and ombre. I think these are kind of interchangeable. So what some people call an ombre, someone else will call a gradient. Personally, I refer to an ombre as when one colour goes into another colour. It blends in and you have a blend point, and the goal is to have it seamlessly go from one colour to another colour. Or you might be doing a rainbow ombre, which we've done quite a few of on this channel, where you're doing a pink into an orange into a yellow into a green into a blue into purple, and that is an ombre where it fades into another colour. And a gradient, so I think a gradient is the same, but I use that for a colour that sort of fades to nothing. So if I do a glitter, or I call it a glitter fade, where you're having glitter at the cuticle, this is our nail, and you're having compact glitter there, and then it starts to fade out and disappear about 2/3 of the way down the nail, I'll call that a gradient, something that fades to nothing. I wouldn't call a colour fading out to nothing an ombre, but some people do. Use the words however you wish. So that is all I'm going to talk about. That's all. Just those few things is all I'm going to talk about today. If you would like a video specifically on one of those things, then let me know in the comments. I really do hope this is helpful, even if it helps just one person. It'd be nice if it helped more than one person, because I've been sat up here all fucking day. But if it is just one person, well, that's fine too. This is for you. If you are still here, thank you. Well done. Even I don't want to still be here right now. So what shall today's I'm still here emoji be? Let's have a microphone. So if you're still here, leave a microphone emoji or some kind of noise emoji. And then all those that buggered off ages ago will have no idea why there's microphone emojis in the comments, if there are any. What if there aren't? Then I know nobody's still here and it's all been a waste of my time. Oh well, I had nothing else to do today. If you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you being here so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. This is going to be a very long video. I hope you're sitting comfortably. It'll be a fucking nightmare to edit. Oh my god, I don't want to edit. I'm all next to each other. I said that in 3 different ways now. Oats in my teeth. I think we're good. No. Miss Joe 30, which coincidentally is my age. Subscribe button. I don't know why I say it like that. It's really annoying. I don't like it either. I'll try and stop. The subscribe button. Perfect. Fuck. Love it. Right. What have I done? Do I talk about pinching? Video over. What else do you want?